Hey folks, Kent Wall here, or Skenticus, at nerdworldnation.com. Chris Stratton, Captain Swing, and I are going to go through, do several videos using the War and Conquest rules to kind of show how to play War and Conquest. Now with historicals there's a glut of rules, and we're going to do a variety of different ones. After we're going to use War and Conquest, we're also going to go with Fields of Glory. Warlord's got a great game. Rule system as well. We decided to go with War and Conquest for a variety of different reasons. First off, we were somewhat familiar with it because we played Warhammer Ancient Battles, and it's very similar but a step up. It is a big improvement over Warhammer Ancient Battles. If you remember with Warhammer Ancient Battles, there was all these little cheesy tricks you could do. I won't go into all the details, but I thought it just kind of ruined it. I like it historical. Let's do it right. But with Warhammer Ancient Battles, you could do the cavalry these strange ways to gain victory points. It was just really weird. But they got rid of all that with War and Conquest. The guy Rob Broom, who wrote War and Conquest, was also the editor over for Warhammer Ancient Battles. So that's why these rules are so good. All right, real quick, as you can see, some of these models. Really did a lot of work to get them painted, almost have them based. But anyway, these here are from Warlord games. There's two different Celt war bands we took them from. And then we also have War Games Factory Celtic war band. And then we got the War Games Factory Celtic chariots. Here we have Warlord Games auxiliaries, Roman auxiliaries. War Games Factory, Numidian auxiliaries. Okay, back to War Games, still with War Games Factory, we have the Roman auxiliary cavalry, and then Roman legions. Now with the Roman auxiliaries, what I did is I put, you can use them as heavies or as lights, which I like. So what I did is half of them will have swords, that'll be the heavy, and then half will have the javelins, and that'll show the light, just so we can tell which is which. Chris, if you'd like to go over the formations.
Chris Stratton, also known as Captain Swing. The reason we chose War and Conquest is it's very accessible. The rule set's a good way to get you into historical miniatures without getting too bogged down in actual history. Although if you like that sort of thing, we recommend it. Okay, now there's three different types of formations in War and Conquest. What we have here are your basic battle units. These are your drilled Romans. Okay, and then here you see skirmishers. You can tell by their loose formation, and you have skirmishers over here too. And also, interesting to note, it'll become important later, Kent's chariots are also skirmish cavalry. And in the back, where we have the Celts, that is called light infantry. Mostly has to do with their armor, and it affects their movement. The cavalry over here is a regular battle unit. Okay, what we're going to do here is basically show you how the troops can move. My Romans, because they're heavily armored, they move kind of slow. They only move at 4 inches. Now Kent's light units back there, his light infantry units, they can move at 5 because they're not encumbered. All of our skirmish units can move at 6. His skirmish cavalry, I believe, move at 9. My regular cavalry move at 7. Okay, Kent's now going to move some of his units.
Alright, well I can do what's called a double pace, and that is when they move twice. So normally they would only move, well, let's see here, light infantry.
To declare a double pace, you have to measure and make sure that your enemy is no closer than 10 inches from you. Okay.
Now, when you measure, you want to pick your leader. That's the leader. And he's going to go 10 inches. So we're just going to move him right up there. And that way I can just move my guys. Okay, now, these guys, I'm going to do it the same. 10 inches. Now, if there was a road here, I could do what's called a quick march. And they would have to change into column. Basically, it would be like that, except facing this way. And if they are on a road, then they can move triple time. You use that mostly for Napoleonics, muskets, things like that. So, there you go. All right, here's my leader. 10 inches. Boom. And 12.
Actually, they can move 18.
18. Wow.
So you could declare a charge if you wanted to.
Yeah, I probably could have charged, even though it's generally not a good idea to charge straight into a Roman legion with your chariots.
Well, the only thing you could have charged would have been my skirmishers, but I'll bring that up.
True.
Okay, now, let's go here. Actually, what Kent could have done, because of the way that these things, how fast they are, he could have declared a charge on my skirmishers. Now, even if he was in range, he could not declare a charge on my battle units, because skirmishers cannot charge any units except for skirmishers, and skirmish cavalry can charge skirmish infantry. Skirmish infantry can only charge other skirmish infantry. Okay, now after Kent's maneuvered, and since there were no charges, we'd go into the shooting phase, which means a lot of these troops would be exchanging fire. People would be taking casualties, but that's for another video. Right here, we're just trying to show you maneuvers. So we go to my phase. Now, obviously, Kent's gotten all up in my face, Skenticus rather, and so I'm going to be declaring charges. Now, charges can only be declared in your front arc, and I believe that's a 45-degree arc. So we measure, I'm going to start from over here. In a 45-degree arc, I can charge any of those units. So I'm going to declare a charge, although I don't think I'm going to make it, but that means I can show you what happens on a failed charge. I'm going to charge his unit there. Now the reason I can do this is because any regular unit can charge right through a skirmishing unit.
What happens to skirmishers, though, Chris?
Well, Kent, you have to declare what you're going to do about the charge.
Oh.
You can attempt to stand and shoot, or you can evade.
Okay.
Or
now,
evade and shoot.
Can the skirmishers stand and shoot?
Yes.
Or they can evade?
No, they cannot stand and shoot from a
Oh.
regular unit. I apologize for that. They can. They have to choose to just run away, or evade and shoot.
Okay.
And we'll go into that later. In order for them to evade and shoot, he'd have to make a command test. All right. So, as said earlier, these guys can move 14 inches with one wheel. This wheel will take an inch, so that's going to take me down to 13 inches. And going from the front, actually I would be able to get it home. So Kent would move his guys back.
Well, these guys will evade.
Yeah.
So they get out of the...
They run straight away from their enemy. So just move them behind. And he's going to attempt to rally them at the end of his round, and they'll be fully good to go. Now I move up, and the way War and Conquest works is, it's not like a lot of other war games. It's very gentlemanly. We just automatically, if the charge succeeds, we go like this to get the bases into contact so that many can fight. Okay. Now these guys, they're going to declare a charge on Kent's skirmishers here. Now because there's a skirmish unit being charged by another skirmish unit, he can choose to accept the charge, he can stand and shoot, accept the charge, or he can flee. So that depends on what you would do.
For this example, when we just line it up, we're
Okay.
going to accept the charge.
We're going to accept the charge, okay. Okay, so for the purposes of our demonstration, basically all of these guys are going to get into contact with all of these guys. It's easy to do. Gentlemanly, we just set them up and figure out how many are on how many, because I think I have a little bit more in my unit, and then we'd fight the fight.
All right, here's a couple of examples of charges. Here's a real easy one. Both these want to charge him. Well, you can do a couple of things. You can do the stupid way and just get it like that, and then he's out of position. Or you can just boom, boom. It's real easy to do. Here's another example. Let's say, for example, these guys are coming down on me. And I have these guys here, and I have this guy group here. Well, I want to declare charges. He's going to charge there, he'll declare, they're both going to charge. Well, he goes there, got him in the front. Well, that leaves just the just the side, so...
I'd like to point out that that's only going to happen if I'm incredibly stupid.
Right, these are basics. So basically you want to angle it, you hit, and then you just flush up like that. Like Chris said earlier, this rule system is a gentleman's rule system. You don't go in, don't weigh down on the details of who can fight and what can not fight. Also, there's some you want to use some tactics. Let's say it again. You're in this position. Well, what you're not going to do is say, well, I'll charge here, and then I'll charge here. So if you're like that, he has to charge there, it flushes out well, then you'd get it in like that. So it all dictates who charges what, and at what angles, who's first, who's second, and so forth.
Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap it up there. Like I said, this is just a first basic introduction to movement. And in fact, I already caught that we did some things out of order, so we'll correct those things next time. When we come back, we're going to talk about, this was just charging. We're going to talk about the rest of the maneuver and the movement phase. And thanks.